Okay, let's do this. Yes, I got it recording. We're really excited to be with you guys. We sat down at the kitchen table today for a couple hours, and we really just wanted to get to share with you, some of our journey. And then hi guys, as you're hopping on, I see all your highs popping up. We wanted to get to share with you a little bit about our journey and just share with you kind of what's on our hearts. So first of all, let me say my name is Kellie Brown. I know it says Sherry Lynn on my screen, but my name's Kellie Brown, and I am an Ambassador Diamond. This is my very handsome other half. Look, look at his man beard he grew over the last few months during Rona. He was like, I can't grow a beard. I'm like, yes, you can. And here we are today. Look at this.
Thanks.
So he's Presidential Diamond. I'm Ambassador Diamond, and we are Triple Diamond 2.0. After you reach Ambassador Diamond, which is the top rank in the company, you get to start over and have a new account. Cookie says that it's very nice.
Thanks, Cook.
So you get to start a third account. And so that's what that 2.0 means. So we just wanted to kind of share with you a little bit about, how we got started. So before this business, we were in full-time ministry. We had just moved from Nevada to Texas at the time. And we had a 2-year-old. Nova was 2, and then our youngest was 5 weeks old.
Yes.
That's not a good idea. Don't do that. We don't recommend it.
2 dogs. No blood.
2 dogs, 5-week-old baby, 2-year-old baby or kid or toddler. Anyway, that's not fun. So anyways, we moved from Nevada to Texas, and we were paycheck to paycheck doing, full-time ministry. And my friend Stacy invited me to do the business, and initially became a loyal customer. I was like, I don't do stuff like that, but then eventually said yes so that we could pay, $55 a month for ballet classes was the reason why I said yes. Otherwise, I would never have said yes, and here we are 5.5 years later. In December will be 6 years of doing this business, and my husband is home full-time. We're both retired at home with our 3 girls. We get to live debt-free other than, mortgage. This business has, paid for our vehicles and paid for our bills, put our girls in private school, and allowed us to give and live and save different and better than ever before. And from such a gift that I assumed wouldn't even pay for ballet classes. So we're really thankful.
Yeah.
We're really thankful for this opportunity. We're thankful to be with you guys tonight and excited to just kind of get to share with you. So that story, that I just shared with you, a lot of you have heard me say numerous times, or you'll see in posts or stuff like that. But when we were talking today, we haven't told you where we were before this business, like before, the story that I just said. And so the way that we described it, I don't know if you've heard us talking about the book, The Dream Giver, but that's a book that we've all been reading recently. And so we sat down, we were writing things down. We were like, you know what? Our dreamer was broken.
Yeah.
So if there's like a little dreamer inside, it was broken. We typically were big dreamers, big thinkers. Before this business, we were like, down for anything. We were excited. We were in full-time ministry. We were doing music, and that was what we wanted to do with our lives, And so at the time, oh, good, Melissa. All right, everybody is texting, and I don't know how to make that stop. And I'm in a text group all of a sudden. Okay, that's neat. So, so distracting when that happens. Okay, so our dreamer was broken, like our dreamer muscle got torn, okay, before this business. And so we were doing full-time music when we met.
Yeah.
In Arizona. I was there for 13 years. Andrew was there for 9 years. And we were doing ministry. We were traveling on the road. 6 to 9 months at a time. We would do concerts and events. We were part of a group. We had a record deal. We had sold tens of thousands of albums. And we traveled coast to coast, Seattle, all the way up to New York, all the way down and up, We started at Seattle, went down the country, all the way across the very muggy parts, Florida, all the way up to New York. And so for months at a time, we were doing events and concerts. And we were, I was 18. I left high school, went straight into doing music, and it was my dream. That was what I wanted to do. Andrew played the guitar, and the way that we met and became friends was on the road, on the People Mover bus. Okay, and lots of crazy stories.
The bus too. I got to drive.
That's true. He did get to drive the bus. We have a lot of really good stories that are really crazy during that time. That like we, would travel to Nashville and record albums and all these big giant things that we bought in on the dream, okay, and gave everything for this dream. We decided when we got married that it was going to be, there was a 2-week break at home off of being on the road. So we squeezed in our wedding in between. We chose to not have kids for 6 years because we were traveling and doing music. We gave up our first home to foreclosure.
To move, to stay with what we were doing. Yeah.
To stay with the group of people we were doing music with. We moved away from family. We made all of our decisions. We were like, no, we're putting this dream first and everything else goes behind it.
Because we believed it would work out.
Right. And so, and it didn't. And it kind of crumbled, all of a sudden other people on the team started getting married and wanting to have kids and wanting to move forward in life. And we were in Christian bookstores and Walmart. We were on, all kinds of places everywhere. We were as far as somebody could make it without being on the radio. That was what we did. You know what I mean? And so when it crumbled, it kind of crushed us. 13 years of my life, that's like the good years, you know what I mean? Right out of high school. For 13 years, we gave to that dream everything we had. And then it disappeared. And then we moved on to another dream.
Yeah. So, and I don't think at the time we even really, I don't think we even realized the effect that had on us. When you're young, you get mad and then you try to pop back up and keep going. And shortly after that kind of tapered off, I had an old friend that I grew up with called me, and we've always loved real estate. We've loved houses. That first house that we lost, we bought a pre-foreclosure and fixed it up and did all the HGTV stuff before that was around. It was a blast, right? And so we knew that we liked that, and we'd been through the foreclosure process, so we had a little bit of knowledge there. And he called me and said, "Hey, Brown, do you want to flip houses with us?" And we're like, "Yeah, we want to do that." So, but we were coming from a place that we had, our self-worth was very low at that point in time because we'd given everything to this other thing and it didn't work. So when we had to negotiate commissions and all these other things when we were doing the houses, the value that we thought we brought to the table, we felt was like this, when in reality it was so much bigger.
It was big because we're hard workers.
Yeah.
So we kind of sold ourselves for real cheap. Yeah. But we didn't have any knowledge of the housing market. We didn't know how to flip houses. We didn't know how to go to auction. That's what he would do, is go sit out in the weather and bid against all these other people to buy all these houses in 2009 after the housing market crashed.
And so we worked just as hard as we did at the other thing. We'd have to be up at 4:00 in the morning to drive houses before we go to auction, buy the houses, then go fix up the houses in the evening, then drive 60 to 70 more houses at night to get ready for that. We worked crazy hours. I had Kelly jumping fences to see if houses were burnt down or doors were, we did crazy stuff.
Crazy stuff. We moved all the way across the country again.
Yeah.
We were like, once we bought into a dream, we were like all in, let's do the thing. Don't know what I'm doing, but that's okay. We're going to figure it out kind of people, if that makes sense. And we didn't care how hard we had to work. We didn't care. I was the driver. He was the buyer and the fixer-upper guy. One time he rented a bulldog and the dog got stolen. It was a pit bull. A pit bull for like a few $100. He rented one to stay at a house and it got stolen.
Don't rent pit bulls from gang members. It's not a good idea.
Some crazy stuff, but we didn't care because we were ready. Whatever it took, we were going to learn that. You know what I'm saying? And we bought into it. We made some money.
Yeah.
So there was positive things. We learned a ton of things about it. There was positive things about our first dream. You know what I mean? But we were just like, we have never been the people that go, I'm just going to go to a job and pay bills and that's how life is going to go. You know what I mean? Because there is more. There is more. You know what I mean?
And it went well for a while. It really did. Like Kelly said, we got to do like 30, 40 houses in 7 or 8 months. It was a wild ride. And then like markets do, they change. And the investors, the guys we were working with, they ended up having to go back to California. And again, something that we thought would turn out to be an empire ended up looking in the mirror and be like, okay, we're back to square one again. What do we do? If we were the people we are today, then we probably would have kept going and doing different things. But with where we were and with our dreamer being broken, so to speak, we just looked at the mirror like, what do we do next?
Right. So that's when this business came into our lives. So we had moved back to Nevada to flip houses. And Joey and Stacy call us in Texas and ask us to come and do ministry with them. So we packed up again and moved back to Texas. We've moved to Texas three times. Nevada to Texas. So we go back to Texas. Okay. We get there and that's where we have 2 babies. I don't know anybody. I'm like, our dreamer is broken. We said we were dormant dreamers because we were like, don't even talk to us about a dream. I don't want to hear about it. Like, I don't want to talk about it. Have you guys ever had, Sarah Keller goes, come back again. Girl, nah. Stacy, look, we can make it 4. No, we're planted. We're going to stay still. Y'all don't tempt us, okay? Get thee behind me. No, so we were like dormant dreamers. We're like, I don't even want to talk. Don't talk to me about dreaming. I don't want to hear about that. No, we're not ready. Okay. We were a little bit broken on the inside. Our dreamer muscle was a little bit torn. Y'all know what I'm saying? So this business became dreamer rehab for us.
Yeah.
For the ability to dream again. So when Stacy invited me into the business, I was like, She was working on Go and Emerald, and I went to a party at her house. And I became a loyal customer. What a good friend am I for the skincare, which I never cared in my whole life about skincare, but I was trying to be supportive, and that I was. So I signed up for the skincare, the cleanser, facial cleanser. And, and then she asked about the business, but I was like, that is too scary. Not my thing. Where normally before that, I wasn't really scared of much, but we were hurt. And so it was actually Andrew that was like, maybe you should try it. If it doesn't work out, you don't ever have to do it again. But you'll never know if you never try. And when we were talking about that today.
That's what's great. So I've heard her tell that story 1,000 times when she started this business. But what hit me today when we were talking about it from the perspective of dreaming and really sitting down and looking how we got to where we're at today was my response wasn't, yeah, I think you can do this. It was, and strangely, we've always been like, yeah, I didn't talk her into it. I said, hey, if we fail, it's okay. Don't worry about it. So we were in such a low self-esteem dreamer position that the only way we got ourselves to take the next step in that time was to not even allow the pressure of trying to succeed be on our shoulders. But like the only way we took the step was agreeing that failure was okay.
This was
which is terrible. That's terrible.
Right. It was a safe place to fail. Instead of going, what if this does what we need it to do? What if it becomes something that could be a vehicle to change our lives? We were like, this is a safe place to fail if we don't like it.
Now, in reality, this business, if somebody, spends the 49 or the 99, or it used to be the 200, whatever it is, and it doesn't work out, their life hasn't been revolutionized by the loss of funds or for most people, even the time. So it's not like it is a safe place to try. And that isn't a bad thing to say to somebody when you're talking to somebody that's interested in the business. But for us to go from where we were, throw our hat over the fence, be rock stars, or try to be and flip out, do all these things, to step into it simply from the place of it's okay because it's okay if we fail, was a huge shift for us. And talking about that today, I'm like, man, I know there's other people out there like that today. on the team and facing that. So
absolutely. So we went slow because our dream was slow.
Right.
Our dream was small.
Right.
I was hoping for $55 a month, and that was like a big dream for me if I could consistently find a way to make $55 a month. I don't want to talk about Ruby. I wasn't there for Ruby. I was like, maybe Ruby in a year.
Right. We thought maybe in 12 months, maybe if we like really get lucky.
Yeah. So this became dream rehab for us. We were broken dreamers, torn dreamer muscle. Okay. But on the inside, who we're created to be is dreamers. Right. And so we came into this. And, you know, we talk a lot about in our posts, the opportunity, message me opportunity. But the word opportunity for us was like the opportunity to fail, a chance to fail. Oh, an opportunity. Yeah. I'm sure some people do succeed, but there's always, you know, there's that chance. It's an opportunity to fail, opportunity to maybe it works out for some people. But actually, opportunity means a chance to advance or progress. Doesn't say anything about failure. It's a chance to advance or progress. But to us, we were like, it's a safe place to just, you know, throw our noodle against the wall and see if it sticks.
And because that had been our experience. The big picture failure had been our experience. So for those of you, I just for a second want to speak to those of you who have been doing this business for a long time. Experience is not always the best teacher. Because that experience is based on who you were yesterday, and you have an opportunity to be somebody different. We'll get to that later, but just for those of you who've been doing this for a while and you're not at where you want to be, just know experience is not always the best teacher. So.
Yeah. And so what we learned was circumstances, situations, they're going to happen.
Yeah.
Circumstances you can't control. Think about Sherry Lynn. I don't know if you guys watch the Impact TV or have read her book or listened to her talk about, you know, when she was a kid, she dreamt of doing dance and being an Olympic gymnast. She was in the process of training to become an Olympic gymnast and broke her back. Can any of you guys relate? You have a track for your life that you think about, this is how I want my life to go. And maybe you've never been a dreamer. Maybe that's not even you. Like maybe you've never had dreams or been a dreamer in life. Or maybe you've had a dream and had a plan and a track that you're going on, and something happens, a circumstance or a situation happens that knocks you off the track. That's like Sherry Lynn. Her back got broken. Well, there goes the dream and the plan and the track and the time and the effort and the ideas and the thoughts, everything she planned for is gone. Now what? Well, no, now I'm just not gonna, guess I'm just not meant to be. Guess it's just, there's a deciding point that comes into place. Then she gets into third grade and has to repeat third grade because of dyslexia and learning disabilities. But that's the girl that also has a dream to write a book. Another set of circumstances. But your circumstances are not the opposition. Your mind is, okay? Because life is going to happen. Over the last 5.5 years, we've had people have babies, have deaths, get married, lose marriages, have cancer, have loved ones die, lose jobs, go back to school. Life is not going to stop so that you can decide and build and make this business be what you want it to be. Life is still going to happen. But circumstances are not the opposition. It's what you think. So had we taken our first scenario of doing music and it falling apart at the end and gone, okay, I know we gave everything. Instead of going, we gave everything and it didn't pan out and it didn't whatever. And then it took us a long time and then we jumped onto the house thing and then we were just done. I'm like, I don't even want to talk about dreams for, you know, a few years or whatever. I was like, don't even talk to me about it. I'm done with this whole throwing my hat over the fence and it not working out. Because when does it ever work out? Does that make sense? And so, man, these text messages drive me nuts. So, you know, I was like, I don't even want to go. So circumstances are going to happen. You can't avoid it, but you can make decisions with how you think and how you move past it and what you do next. And that's just a choice. You know what I'm saying? So we talked about your mind is actually what stops you and taking every thought captive.
So last week, Joel talked about positivity a lot, and John got on and he was like, I just remember in my head, positivity, positivity, positivity. And it reminded me of a book that I've read, and there's this doctor, I'm going to hold it up here so you can see it. It is Switch on Your Brain by Dr. Leaf. She does, I think she even did a TED Talk, but she's a neuroscientist, so it's not just my opinion. She teaches about how positive thoughts and negative thoughts, how they actually, the way that God designed us, when the word says take every thought captive, God built us that way because the thoughts that we have actually have the ability to form new cells and pathways in our brain. So when you have a positive thought or you respond positively to a circumstance like we're talking about, your response to that circumstance and the thoughts that you have in regards to that actually build healthy protein highways in your brain. Your brain moves easier and quicker. So when you feel stuck in your business and you're like, man, I really need some creativity to get out of this, when you approach it from a positive standpoint, you actually help your brain see around the circumstance to how you're going to win. As opposed to on the flip side, when you have a negative thought that typically always leads to another negative thought and another, you actually create proteins that begin to break down in your brain. So you create bad, nasty pathways. And the way that I think about it is like a highway. I went through Northridge earthquake in Southern California in 1994, 96. So, and I literally as a kid saw freeways fall apart. And I just think in my brain, it's like when I have those negative thoughts, I'm actually creating these freeways that don't connect. And so as I'm trying to think and process and do these things, you're creating negative, unsuccessful pathways in your brain. So it's not just like positive thinking it does attract positive thinking, but the reason is you're creating a healthier mind, which creates healthier choices, which creates a healthier life. So it's all the way to the physical being. Your thoughts create your world, like all the way down to your cells. Your thoughts choose which parts of your DNA get used when you're thinking, and it creates a healthy brain or not healthy brain, which to me was crazy stuff.
Yeah. And sometimes people will say, they're just a positive person. Well, they're just positive. I'm not like this, and this because they're just a positive person. Positivity is not a personality trait. Y'all know? It's not like some people are and some people aren't. It's some people choose and some people don't. That's the honest truth. It's positivity is not a personality. I'm a positive person. And you're not. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's not it. It's a choice. And you get to choose.
You do. That whole book is actually how we have the ability to heal our own brains, like to heal our own negative thoughts and to set new pathways to be able to think positively.
Like physically heal your body with the way you think. Isn't that crazy? Like it physically changes what's in your brain. That's crazy. So it is a choice. And going back to talking about Tom, telling the story about Tom.
Yeah. So one of the investors that we worked with when we flipped houses, his name was Tom, and he was a crazy ambitious dude. When he would call you, he'd already have two or three other people on hold. So he'd say, Andrew, hold. And you'd hear him talking to somebody else, like three other people, and Andrew, go. And every morning at like 6 o'clock in the morning, the first thing he would say, Brown, are you ready to buy 1,000 houses? We're going to buy 1,000 houses today. Now, he didn't have no money to buy 1,000 houses that day, maybe like 6, but he didn't have money to buy 1,000. But every day, and when it would rain, he'd be so excited. Now, I was the one that had to sit out in the rain, but he was excited because he's like, Andrew, if it's raining, not as many people are going to show up to auction, not as many people are going to be out there looking at houses. So we're going to get more houses. So any circumstance that came up that actually made what we were doing more difficult, he got excited about as opposed to defeated because he thought it would actually create opportunity, a chance to make progress for us where other people would maybe slack back. And what's crazy is I checked in with him a couple years ago, and he was actually working for a hedge fund, and he was over acquisitions, and he was buying 1,500 to 2,500 homes a month, and that was his job. But it started by waking up before he even had the resources to buy 1,000 houses and saying every day, I'm going to buy 1,000 houses. I'm going to buy 1,000 houses. And lo and behold, there he is buying 1,000 houses a month. It's crazy.
Yeah. So, and coming up in the business, I would see people and go, I typed it in the chat, Ashley. I typed it a few times. It's called Switch on Your Brain. Yes. And it says Leaf, but what's the person?
Dr. Leaf.
Oh, Dr. Leaf. This is
South African lady. She's awesome.
Andrew takes off the covers on all of his books. So I can't show you what the book looks like because he takes off all the covers off of all the books in my house. So
it'll change your life.
Don't let him touch your books. Can you see? Switch on Your Brain, Dr. Leaf. Fascinating. Wait, wasn't there like a Zoom or something?
There's a TED Talk she did.
Oh, a TED Talk.
Yeah.
It fascinating. And I'm not like, into information, but that was cool information. Okay. So, and there was something I was going to say, after that, when you said, about Tom, I can't remember. Darn, had something to add. Okay, that's okay. The point though is Caroline Leaf. Yeah, Caroline Leaf is the author. Switch on your brain. You got it. So the whole thing is that you get to decide. I remember, here's what I was going to tell you, coming up in the business, and I would see people that would be, at whatever rank I wanted to be at, or I would see them talk like on Tips from the Top or Zooms or whatever. And I'd be like, wow, they're just like, they just believe. I just wish I believed. Anybody ever felt like that? Drop a 1 in the chat. I wish I just believed in myself. Yeah. Have you ever said that? I wish I just believed in myself, or I wish somebody would just believe in me. Here is the truth, you guys. I've said this before on a Zoom previously. I didn't believe in myself till after Ambassador. I didn't. And so what I'm saying to you is, you're not powerless. You are powerful. You are not powerless. And we've been reading the, Dream Giver book recently. And can I just tell you, the Dream Giver is still passing out dreams. And there is still one just for you specifically. For every ear that's listening tonight. Husband, there's dreams for you. Yep. Wife, there's dreams for you. Kids, if you're listening, babies, there's dreams for you. The Dream Giver is still handing them out, and you are not omitted from. You're not. There's dreams just for you. And you get to choose. You get to decide. Have circumstances stopped you? Have circumstances, opposition come against you and make you go, well, I had a dream to do this, but I couldn't because of X, Y, Z. I get it. We were devastated. I was angry. There's a lot of story that goes behind that first set of dreams that we won't necessarily get into, but we were broken. We were hurt. I was hurt. I was angry and hurt, and we did everything we knew to do in the right ways and had to walk away. Okay. But that doesn't mean there's not another dream waiting around the corner. Right. And as I finished reading my book, I guess it must be my backpack. As I finished reading my book, I realized, was It Works always my dream? No. But you know what was always my dream? To love the Lord and love people in every job I'm ever given. So when we did music, I loved it because I got to teach and connect with people. And I got to love the Lord with my life. And when we did houses, we got to talk and work with people, lots and lots of people, and love on them.
In hard times, yeah.
And hard times. They were in hard times, losing their homes. Here we are now, okay? And so the dream and what it looks like might adjust. But can I just tell you, you're not without the ability to decide that this works for you. Okay, it is a choice. So if you have teammates that maybe aren't panning out the way you thought, or maybe if you have, some that were doing awesome and now they're not here. Maybe your volume used to be where it was and now it's not. Maybe, you had a goal to hit a certain rank by a certain time and you didn't. Okay, that happens to everybody. So now what? Now do you go, well, I'm just not gonna, this just isn't. Sis, there's nowhere in life you can go that opposition will not follow. Yeah. That circumstances won't happen. But the Dream Giver is still passing out dreams. And what was the thing you said about the team, the quote about the team thing?
Oh, if you're trying to get to Mount Everest, I think it was a John Maxwell book, that if you look around and your team isn't your dream team, you have two choices. You can either decide to give up, which for us is never an option, or you can decide to grow up your team, the team that you got.
It's just a deciding factor. That's it. You're not waiting around for anyone, a leader above you, somebody beneath you, anything. None of those things decide. It's you deciding.
And about deciding too, one of the toughest, I remember one of the hardest parts in the business for us, I remember Kelly was triple or double, working on going triple. I was working crazy hours. The kids were, it was like the season that so many of you are in that you're like, there's no possible way that I can work harder or this can go any further. This is insane. That moment, I remember I would listen, husbands, if you're on there and you have the chance, if you can even just be in the same room as, you know, the show me the money calls or the tips from the tops and just even be within earshot of what's going on. I wouldn't have been able to believe or to support without hearing those stories myself, you know, because she can say it, but it's her saying it. But when I hear other people say things like they paid off debt or paid for their kid's surgery, all this, like, it changed for me. But I listened to all these presidentials and ambassadors and I was like, man, what we were going through was so hard. If you could, I was like, man, if I just knew we would make it, it'd be easy to give the energy. If I just knew ahead of time that we would win, of course it's worth the sacrifice that we're having right now. But the trick is you don't ever get to know before you try. Mm-hmm. And we talked a lot about how hard the other dreams were. We learned a ton. I wouldn't change our story at all. It didn't work out. We had to try anyways. And this is the same thing. I'm not saying it won't happen for you, but it definitely won't happen if you don't try. And you don't get to know the end of the story until you give it a shot. And that was something for me. On the other side of ambassador, I look back and I'm like, man, I wasted so much time being in doubt or being afraid or telling myself, well, I would try harder if I just knew it would work, or I would support better if I just knew it would work. When the reality is that just slowed me down. It just slowed us down. Whereas if I would have just said, hey, we're going to just give it our all. We're going to choose to be an opportunity, because you are a walking opportunity. When you look in the mirror in the morning, you need to tell yourself, I am a walking opportunity. I am a chance, a good chance of progression or advancement. That is who I am.
And all it is a choice. It's crazy, but it is. And so you have 9 days, okay? The 22nd, today's 22nd to the 30th, 9 days. You get to decide what happens in the next 9 days. Are you tired? Take a nap. Take a nap. Are you empty? Fill your cup. What book are you reading? What, podcasts are you listening to? What YouTube videos are you filling your cup with? If you're empty and dry, you get to change that. You get to fix it. If you're frustrated, are you having quiet time in the morning time? Because me not quiet time after a while gets gets irritated, right? That's okay. Like you get to design your time with your time. Okay. And so the next 9 days, you know how much can happen in 9 days? Tons and tons and tons. If you're a brand new distributor on here tonight, your first goal is getting your first 6 loyal customers. How many of the 6 do you have? And if you have none, that's okay. Because we know that you've got host to post. We know that you've got messages. You've got people you can connect with. And honestly, with host to post, you can get all of them. But it's going to start with a decision. I'm choosing, look, here's the other thing I said to Andrew is that sometimes people will look at the ranks and go, well, I just want to go diamond. Okay, here's how you go diamond and get the $8,000 bonus. You get your first 6 loyal customers. Well, no, I just want to go diamond. I don't want to talk about anything else except for diamond. I understand. But everybody starts at 0. I started at 0. Everybody does. Shaylin, Stacy, me, Danielle, we all start at 0. Okay. And what did we do? First few loyal customers. Okay, then we go executive, then we go ruby. Well, I don't want to talk about emerald. I just want to go straight to diamond. Okay, but you have to go emerald to go diamond. Maybe it happens in the same month, but it still happens. So all I'm saying is none of those things happen unless you focus on the first right step, which is getting your 6. Okay, that's how you're going to do this business. One right step at a time. I'm deciding my long-term goal is this. What do I do now? Get your 6. And you can. I was terrified I wouldn't get them. You can. We have host to post. Okay? So you get your 6. You borrow the belief from your enroller. You can borrow the belief from me, from your leaders. Borrow the belief and then do the task. Get the 6. Get that shopping spree. Okay? In the next 9 days, what is your next right step that you're going to take towards your goals? Okay. If you feel stuck, do you have out your KPI task list? Okay. Because sometimes it's that you're like, the tasks don't work. This isn't working. This isn't doing this. I'm posting. I'm not signing anything. I'm talking to people. They're not signing up. The tasks work. The KPI task list, it works. But sometimes it's your mindset that's not working. Okay. The tasks work. Sometimes your mindset doesn't. And you've got to decide to change it. I'm just choosing to be positive. Okay. Remember on the Zoom last Tuesday night when Stephanie and Joel were on there? And I can't remember which one it was, Stephanie or Joel. Maybe it was Joel that said, negative people attract negative people, but positive people attract both negative and positive people into their business. Okay. Positivity attracts all. So you get to choose. Listen to what comes from your mouth. Listen to what you're thinking. Listen to what you're speaking over your team, over your kids, over your spouse, over your home. Okay. It is an active choice, not a personality trait. It's not some are and some aren't. It's some choose and some don't choose. That's the difference. Does that make sense?
And the structure of this business, when earlier we said like this business was like dream rehab for us, the way that the business is set up is it's set up so you can have little dreams and accomplish them, and then a little bit bigger dream and a little bit bigger. And so you can grow. I see in the chat, like, I need to borrow belief. Hey, it's here for you. But also the structure of the business is set up in a way to where you have wins along the way. You don't have to believe for Ambassador right now if you're pushing for Ruby. You have to believe for Ruby, and you got to get there. And then you got to believe for Ruby again and again and again and again. And it builds right on all the way up to Diamond. And so much of it, when she's talked about what's coming out of your mouth, you know what your focus is when you listen to I hear voice messages all day from across the room. What are your voice memos sound like to your team, to your upline, to your downline? What your voice messages sound like to your family? What you're speaking tells you where your focus is at. And one of the craziest stories about focus is Howard Hughes was a millionaire. Junior was a millionaire when he was 18 because his dad, he got Howard Hughes Tool Company when he was 18 and his parents died. And he was a millionaire at 18. And throughout his life, none of the companies that he touched did any good. The only businesses that he had for the rest that are still around today are the ones that he had nothing to do with. When you read his autobiography, he had no focus. So you might say, well, I don't have the team, or I don't have the resources, or I don't have the time. He had everything in his corner that you could possibly want. And he still failed at almost everything he touched because he didn't have any focus. So where's your focus at right now? And you can tell where your focus is by what's coming out of your mouth and what your thoughts are. And so I just want to throw that in.
It's just it's just making that switch. So you yourself, if you've got your 6 loyal customers, now you're working on going Ruby. Okay. Go Ruby. This isn't like, I believe I can go Ruby. That's what I thought. Okay. This is how I thought before. I'm just, someday maybe I can go Ruby. It's not someday. It's a decision. It's a choice. Okay. It's a choice. And if you do the KPI task list, it works. I'm telling you, it is just a decision. Okay. You don't need a whole room of people cheering you on. You just make the decision to make the next right step. Go Ruby now. Help someone else go Ruby. We talk about this a lot. Do and teach. Do and teach. If a post works for you and it gets you in conversations, teach your team to put up that post. If a script works for you when you're talking to people in private conversation, send that script to your team. If you talk to your teammates only in group message, where is the place for teaching? Because not a lot of people listen in group message. In group messages is where you say, time for this Zoom, time for this Power Hour. Here's a post we got from Power Hour today, posted, commenting. That's group message conversation. In 3-way message group or one-on-one is where you're talking about, okay, I'm not enrolling. I'm posting, I'm messaging, I'm following up. I'm not getting loyal customers and distributors. Where am I going wrong? Pull out that KPI task list. Pull out the not enrolling list, okay? It's going to be right there in plain sight. You walk through that with your teammates. Help them figure it out. Does that make sense? Because a lot of times it's not that you have an entire chart of people that don't want to do the business or don't want to work. They're lost.
Yeah.
And you are the compass. So you've got to point them in the right direction. Help them edit what they're doing. Do and teach. Go Ruby, now help someone else go Ruby. And you've got 9 days. So either you yourself are going Ruby or you're helping someone else go Ruby. It's one or the other. Rubies take you from distributor to ambassador diamond. It's just a bunch of rubies. That's it. It's not rocket science. It's just rubies. Do, teach. Do, teach. Turn your thinking to positivity. Okay. And I get it. Frustration can come in. Frustration is the separation between expectation and reality. Here's reality. Here's expectation and the space in between. You get frustrated because I'm here. I want to be here. And I'm so irritated. Okay. You bridge the gap by what you do. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So taking out that KPI task list, doing those tasks, you're going to enroll. And it's going, now teach your teammates to do it, and they're going to enroll. And we're bridging that gap to get to that next rank, okay? 9 days is plenty of time to make some things happen. It's okay if you're not happy with what you've done in the past. Guess what? Yesterday is yesterday.
Don't.
And it's behind you. But the next 9 days are in front of you, and you get to decide, are you stepping out and trying TikTok? Are you trying IG Reels? Are you going live? Are you telling your story? At what point does it make the switch where you're doing some brave things? Okay. If you have a goal and I really want it, but I don't want to do blank. I don't want to go live. I don't want to tell my story. I don't want to put my before and afters out there. I get it. Some things are uncomfortable, but how bad do you want that change? Because you get to decide to have it. It might cause some uncomfortable feelings, but that means you're getting that much closer to where you want to be. And in the process, your dreamer muscle, it gets fixed if it was broken. If your dreamer muscle has been broken or torn in the past, this business can help rehab it. And then guess what? It not only rehabs it, but it makes it stronger. We're bigger and braver dreamers now than ever before because of this business. And that is a gift that we, could never repay, because we've had to do hard things, face the opposition. That's your thoughts, not the circumstances. And decide to get up and dream again. If you haven't read that book, I would suggest Celeste, but will it kill you? Did you die? Yeah. The Dream Giver book. If you haven't read that, I would say that needs to go on your list at some point. If you get it on Audible, it's like 3.5 hours total on Audible to listen to the entire book. It's really good. It's really good. And some of you have dreamt before, and your dreamer muscle is torn, so it's hard for you to believe that this could work for you. Some of you have never dreamt before. And what we would just say to you is, it's not a belief issue. It's a do or don't do issue. It's just a deciding factor to rise up and do the job in front of you, one step at a time. And there's not a rank you can't have.
And you're not alone when you're doing it. There's a bunch of people that believe you can do it.
Okay. We love y'all. We're going to pray for you really quick, and then we will hop off.
Awesome. Dear God, thank you so much for this group of people. I can't wait to see all the things that you do in and through their lives. We just pray that you would give us strength to capture those thoughts that don't belong. If it doesn't come from a place of love, joy, peace, and hope, God, it doesn't come from you, and we don't need it. So I just pray you give us the strength and the wisdom to catch those thoughts and to replace them, the ones that don't come from that place, God, and replace them with good, healthy, positive thoughts. And I just pray for health and healing for all those broken dreamers out there. And we're just so grateful for all that you're doing in this team. In your holy name, amen.
Amen. We love y'all.
Love y'all.
Have a good night. Bye.